fact, take a look at this man right here. This is one of the wildest things that you're gonna hear. This is insane that this actually happened.
So you're saying the Fourth Circuit is wrong?
Howdy, y'all. I'm Brylan. Not to get too fire and brimstone on you, but we've mocked God for far too long. One of the ways that we've mocked God is by allowing sick and depraved people to run rampant, indoctrinating our children into LGBT and all the things. All the while we've closed our eyes and covered our ears, screaming, "Judge not lest he be judged." Well, this is where we're at today because of our ignorance. Ignorance is not bliss. Who'd have thought? Let us be the parents. Supreme Court should let parents opt kids out of LGBT school lessons. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you what the Supreme Court, the highest court of the United States of America, is mulling over right now. And I'm going to show you some just mind-blowingly insane things that one of the Supreme Court justices is saying that should absolutely terrify you if you are an American. Unless you know Christ. Then, real quick, would you mind hitting that thumbs up button? When you like this video, you're not agreeing with the insanity. You're helping push it out to more people to help spread the truth. But it's still important that we know this. Check this out. Counsel representing a coalition of parents fighting for the choice to opt their children out of LGBT curriculum says the case is about letting parents be the parents. Gee, it's insane that we're here at this point in our country, in America, that we literally have the top court of the land having to hear arguments about forcing your children to participate in this LGBT indoctrination. Think about that for a second. The Supreme Court is going, should we or should we not let parents force their kids into indoctrination of LGB? Remember when the whole LGB and all that was like, we just want to be left alone. And then it turned into, we just want equality. And now it's like, you will worship me. Look at this. We're just saying if a school board is going to make that decision, let us have the chance to leave the classroom. School boards all around the country, in every school. This is why public school and college and high school, all the things, that's why they're all so dangerous, because public school boards are filled with radical agendists. And so what parents are doing is they're just asking for the ability to be the parent of their own child. And this has gone all the way to the Supreme Court. We're not saying that these books can't be on the shelves. We're saying we want to be out of the class. And we're also not saying that teachers can't teach this material. I'm one of those people that, I don't think that teachers should be teaching young children in like kindergarten, preschool, elementary school, what's the middle one? Oh yeah, middle school. Teachers shouldn't be teaching these young minds about LGB, twan, identity, all that stuff, even sexual things. Like, no, these teachers should not be pushing this stuff on children. It's insane that we have allowed it to come this far. They throw books like this. Here's some samples for you of books that they're putting in front of young, impressionable children. And they're telling you that you are not allowed to stop your children from reading books like this. Look how the mainstream media is covering this story, by the way. This is why I love Ground News, because they show you how the left and the right are covering the news. Look at this. The left want you to think that the Supreme Court looks eager to further undermine public schools. They want you to think that parents having the right to parent their children is a bad thing. And the right is telling you just, what's going on with the case. SCOTUS hints it will side with the parents who want to opt out for kids exposed to LGB materials. You know, with Ground News, they show you what news outlets are being biased, so you don't have to guess what's true or not. Their blind spot feature shows you when the left or the right isn't covering the news that you should know about. You can also see who owns each news outlet. If you go to ground.news/Brylan or scan the QR code on the screen, you can get 40% off the same Vantage plan that I personally use. Thank you for supporting the sponsor of this video, Ground News. It helps me to continue to bring you daily news videos that you can trust. In fact, listen to Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson arguing this very case.
We don't at this moment, based on the record you've provided, know that these books aren't just sitting on the shelves. And you said that if that's the case, that's not going to be enough.
I disagree, Your Honor. The record is undisputed. And I, again, will refer you to the district court transcript at 63, where counsel
So you're
said
saying the Fourth Circuit is wrong when it says, quote, we don't have any information about how any teacher or school employee has actually used any of the books.
The Court of Appeals did not dispute that some of the books have to be used, and we have all of the
I understand that.
that the board's not disputed.
I understand that, but the Fourth Circuit made a ruling that we don't know, quote, what any child has been taught in conjunction with their use.
Wow.
So are you saying that you do have affidavits and information about teachers in the classroom and what they've taught children of different ages about these books?
Yes, we do. All of our clients have, in their declarations, they describe which books were going to be read to their
Were
children.
the clients in the classroom?
They were not in the classroom, but they know. And again, we don't have to wait until the injury has happened to get relief. The point of a preliminary injunction is that we can, when the injury is imminent, we can seek relief.
All right, let me ask you another.
Ketanji over here, a U.S. Supreme Court justice, a part of the highest court of the land, is arguing that we should just continue to let these books sit in schools and be taught to children and just wait and see what happens, because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we see it rampaging the younger generations, all the way from preteens to teenagers and people in their 20s, that those who identify as LGB or TWAN has skyrocketed. It's taught in the public schools. It's taught through kids' television, through all the kids shows out there. I have many videos on my channel going through kids' content and how it's all tainted with the LGB agenda. And there is nowhere that is safe for children anymore, and we are reaping the consequences. And never forget that Ketanji Brown Jackson is the same woman that couldn't define a woman.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You
She
can?
says it so sassy too.
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you-
Look at her, like she does the whole like no, I can't. These people are sick. And not just this either, but this is the same woman again, at least I think I don't know what definition she might not be a woman. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of. And once again, Ketanji Brown Jackson literally saying that your First Amendment right is making it more difficult for the government to censor your speech.
So my biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the government in significant ways in the most important time periods.
Wow.
I mean, what would you have the government do? I've heard you say a couple times that the government can post its own speech, but in my hypothetical, kids, this is not safe, don't do it, is not going to get it done. And so I guess some might say that the government actually has a duty to take steps to protect the citizens of this country. And you seem to be suggesting that that duty cannot manifest itself in the government encouraging or even pressuring platforms to take down harmful information. So can you help me? Because I'm really worried about that.
Wow.
Because you've got the First Amendment operating in an environment of threatening circumstances from the government's perspective, and you're saying that the government can't interact.
Rebecca put a teacher's creed into words when she said, There's no such thing as someone else's child. No such thing as someone else's child. Our nation's children are all our children.
In fact, like I said, the left is very vocal about how they want to dominate your children and indoctrinate them into their sick and depraved radical agenda. Look at this. This is Cecilia Espinoza. This kind of thing is happening all over the country. I want you to see what she just recently said in this was just a couple days ago, about your children. And then never forget that this is what the entirety of the left thinks about your kids.
Under English common law, it was recognized that the care of all infants is lodged in the king as parens patriae, and by the king, this care is delegated to the court of chancery. In protecting neglected and dependent children, chancery courts use what are called equitable powers, the essential ideas of which are flexibility, guardianship, and the balancing of interests in the general welfare, with a view to getting a fairer result than could be obtained by applying older and more rigid rules. So the notion that parents' rights have always reigned supreme is not in our Anglo-Saxon history, but rather that there was always a recognition that the state had an interest in protecting the rights of children.
Never forget this. This is the entirety of the left. This was Cecilina Espinoza making the argument that your children belong to the state. They belong to the king, because that's how it used to be under our English heritage and stuff. That's why we whooped their butts. In fact, look at what Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said. She said that not wanting schools to assign this kind of content, meaning the LGB and all the things, to children is fascism. In fact, take a look at this man right here. This is one of the wildest things that you're going to hear. This is New Hampshire Democrat Tommy Hoyt, who told a parent to shut up about wanting the Parents' Bill of Rights to pass. Here is the official email. This is Tom Hoyt. Again, she emailed him and asked for him to pass SB 272 without any amendments. And Tommy's response here was, do you know why children's results tanked during co-fraud? Their parents were incompetent teachers. Do your children a favor, let the teachers teach, and shut up. You're clearly no professional. This is insane that this actually happened. This is a man that is supposed to work for the American people, and here he is telling you to shut up and let the teachers indoctrinate your children because you're incompetent. Here he is trying to make the argument that children's results tanked during co-fraud. You can easily see that his argument here is, well, not true. Look at the statistics between a child who's homeschooled compared to a child that goes to public school. Homeschool students typically score 15 to 25 percentile points higher than public school students on standardized tests. Not only that, but 78% of peer-reviewed studies on academic achievement indicate that homeschool students perform statistically significantly better than those in institutional schools. Additionally, 87% of peer-reviewed studies on social, emotional, and psychological development show that homeschool students perform better than those in conventional schools. The left hate these kind of statistics because it shows that these kids that are being put into these schools just to be indoctrinated into their radical agenda come out not just crazier, but dumber. Not that your kid is dumber if he goes to a public school. I'm sure Billy's a chip off the old block. In fact, look at Proverbs 22 with me. Look at verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. We should be raising our children in the way that they should go, teaching them what is morally right and what is morally wrong, and how to do things that are pleasing to the Lord, and what isn't pleasing to the Lord, steer them away from. In fact, Ephesians 6 also says in verse 4, Fathers, do not provoke your child to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, join this community. I would love to hear from you on a regular basis. And please hit that thumbs up button. You know, when you like this video, to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.